My name is James Williams Jr. And in 2 days, X-Men Apocalypse drops. I'm going to see this movie. Hell or high water, I'm going to see this movie. I may be going by myself because I think I may have like $15 in my pocket, which would be enough to get me in. I won't have any popcorn or nachos or whatever the fuck else I need when I get there, but I'm going to see this movie. Now, I'm going to let you know real quick. I don't want to be disappointed by this movie because I know it's not going to be like the comic book. And as I have given people these reports before, if you are a comic book fan, do not look at the movie with comic book fan eyes. Look at the movie as a movie because every time you look at a movie and you're a comic book fan as expecting them to bring the comic to life, they so fucking deviate. So let's just go and enjoy the movie as a movie. Let's not go in the fact that Psylocke wasn't Asian in the X-Men Apocalypse the first time around, and then all of a sudden she was, and I think that just depends on the uh, dimension or whatever. In the last one, the one that I actually read, Wolverine had his hand cut off, she was Asian. But they had one where they had a flip something or another before that, back in the mid 80s or whatever. I think it happened before the Death for Dallas and all that when Psylocke was European. So yeah, you gotta go as a comic book fan. You have to just go and look at it as a movie and not as a comic book. Because I've said this before. I'll say it 1,000 times again. You know, when I went to go see X-Men Days of Future Past, I expected it to be like the comic book, and it wasn't. I didn't say it wasn't a good movie. It just was nothing like the comic book where Forge makes a time machine, Wolverine and Storm go back through time and try to fix things and make sure that nothing happens, and it won't like that at all. And then in Age of Apocalypse, I'm pretty sure that Wolverine's gonna have both his arms. I'm also hoping that it's Hugh Jackman that's playing Wolverine, and Olivia Munn's gonna be Psylocke. So it's looking like the previews are looking pretty freaking awesome. I will say this because as an X-Men fan, I don't know anything after 2008 or 9 when I stopped reading comic books because of the Scarlet Witch fucking the dimensional rifts and all the alternate timelines being smashed and everything. So whatever's going on there, it's beyond me, and my information is shabby at best. But before Psylocke's transformation in death and all that crap, I have knowledge about that. So anything from 2007, 8, all the way back to 1975, when I started like learning how to read as a like 3-year old kid or whatever, I can give you intel on that. Anything from 60s, I can't really touch. But anything from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and early 2000s, I can give you intel on that. So I will say this. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to enjoy the movie if I just go look at it as a movie. If I try to envision it like it was in a comic book, I'm probably going to be disappointed. So we're not going to have that. But if I am, I'm going to be back up on here and I'm going to let you guys know. Now, as I was saying before I jumped off track, when I went to go see X-Men First Class, it's the only X-Men with McAvoy that I did not like. And the only reason I didn't like it was because it was not X-Men First Class. Like when you read the comic book, the first 5 X-Men, Beast, Sot, Jean, Bobby, Warren. So let's revamp. Beast, Henry McCoy. Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. Jean Grey, aka Marvel Girl. Bobby Drake, aka Iceman. And Warren Worthington III, aka the Angel. And then you had the leader, Professor Charles Xavier. And you had his co-conspirator, Magnus, Eric Litcher, Magneto, whatever the hell you want to call him. And they were all working together. And somewhere along the line, Magneto became the bad guy. And he was the first person that they had to fight. As the issues went on, they wound up fighting Juggernaut, who was Xavier's brother, etc. And somehow or another, when you see X-Men The Last Stand or whichever one had Juggernaut in there, they don't mention that. So you see where I'm going with this? So if you're a comic book fan, you can't go watch the movie and think it's going to be like the comic because it's going to be a fucking letdown. All right. Now, I could say the same thing since me and like two other people enjoyed the Batman vs Superman. I was highly thrilled that Affleck kicked ass. You know, he kicked ass in there. Now, you guys might not have liked it. I'm not taking it back. I liked it. I loved it. I wasn't too keen on how it ended, but I still loved it, And I got like only maybe three little ass complaints. Alright? And here they are. In a nutshell, because I've done this before. I didn't like the fact that the Flash was not the Flash from TV. And that he was not a white man. Alright? Little complaint, just little. And I'm not trying to be a racist, but it, things are upgrading now. I didn't like the fact that they didn't give Jason Momoa enough screen time as Aquaman. He was only on there for like maybe 10 seconds, which totally fucking sucked. But he's gonna get a standalone movie, so I've been told that there's rumors about that, hoping that he does that because he's Aquaman. And they're gonna hopefully up his powers beyond talking to fish. And then the last thing, I don't think that they gave Cyborg enough time on the screen. They didn't get the Flash enough time on the screen either, but since it doesn't look like he's going to be Barry Allen, and he doesn't look like he was going to be a white guy, I kind of really didn't, I'm not really feeling that, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to do the Flash, it has to be Barry Allen. I'm sorry, I will do my Flash thing after this. Anyway, ending out my little thing about the X-Men, when I went to see X-Men First Class, it's the only X-Men movie that I did not like. Of all the X-Men and all the directors and all that, the only reason I didn't like it is because they had Banshee and he wasn't in the First Class. They had Havoc and he wasn't in the First Class. And they had some other no-name mutants that weren't in the book and weren't in the First Class. And as far as I know, clearly they're not doing 616 because Mystique was never a fucking X-Man. She was a Freedom Force member. She even was a member of X Factor, and she's an X-Men in the current books. But back when they started, way back then, Xavier never had nothing to do with her. Case in point of why you can't go see it if you're a comic book fan and look at it with comic book eyes. You have to look at it with movie eyes and enjoy it as a movie and not, oh, this is a hashing of the comic book. It's not. Completely irrelevant. Your comic book knowledge has nothing to do with the X-Men movies at all. I learned that when I watched the very first X-Men movie. And I say that because Mystique they did all that part right with the thing with Magneto, Sabretooth, Mystique, and Toad. But the thing was, Toad and Mystique were Freedom Force. They came to Magneto in the mid-'80s. No, they weren't with him at first. They had nothing to do with him because they were the mutants that did the same thing X Factor do, only you would wind up joining Freedom Force or they took your ass out. And the members of Freedom Force was Crimson Commander, Silver Sable, not Sable, but the Saber, not Sable, is the dude who could run like the Flash. He had goggles. I couldn't say his name right. I used to call him Silver Sabri. So him, the Blob, Avalanche, Mystique, Spiral, and I'm missing like two other people, but they were members of Freedom Force. It was like 9 or 10 guys on there, and then the X-Men had fought Freedom Force. They fought the Reavers. They fought Sinister's Nasty Boys. Yeah, they fought a lot of damn people. They even fought the Fantastic Four and got their asses kicked by them. They fought the Avengers and got their asses kicked by them. So it's been a touch and go thing. So if you're not a comic fan, then none of this shit matters. But if you're a comic fan, then you need to go back and research what I'm saying, and you'll understand that this is why you can't go to a comic book based movie and look at it as a comic book. And a side note, like with the Civil War thing, if you haven't seen it, go see it. In the comic book, at the end of Civil War, Cap ass died. At the end of the movie, he does not. So thank you for that. But it's funny how they had to change certain things in the comic, well, for the movie instead of the comic, you know. And that was great because even at the end of the Civil War, when it all came back around after the Skrull invasion and before Wanda fucked everything up, Cap came back. But first, it was Bucky Barnes. The Winter Soldier was Cap. And that kind of rounded out what happens at the end of the Civil War. But by the end of it, Cap came back. And then after that, you know, the Skrull invasion started. And then at the end of that, Cap came back. So, you know, I want to give a great thumbs up to Chris Evans because he's the perfect Captain America, even though he was Johnny Storm in the old Fantastic Four, but he was the perfect Captain America. Well, he was perfect Johnny Storm too, but anyway, you know, from the actor that no one will ever know to all the good actors at Marvel doing their thing, you know, I appreciate you guys for bringing some of my favorite heroes to life. I will say I'm not happy that the Guardians of the Galaxy weren't the ones that I liked, but hey, it was a great fucking movie. So, before I go, just so that you guys know, Star-Lord did have his own book by himself, and so did Rocket. Now, as far as Groot, Gamora, and Drax, I have no idea who the fuck they are or where the fuck they came from. But I know Rocket Raccoon had his own book, and I know Star-Lord has his own book because they're sitting in my basement right now. But other than that, you know, thank you, Marvel, for giving us great movies. And thank you to that DC movie that was Batman vs. Superman. Because although I'm probably the only one on Earth with the other two people who actually liked it, the same bullshit happened when they voted for Robin's death. But later on, a lot of people were like, well, damn, you know, why did they even bother with killing Robin if they were just going to make him pop back up? When Superman punched that little thing, the Superman that was supposed to come to our world never came to our world, and he punched that little thing, and then the timeline rippled and all that other stuff, and next damn thing you know, everybody's back to normal, and Jason Peter Todd never died and became Red Robin, and then became the Red Hood, and then went back to being Red Robin, and then etc. etc. You guys will figure this shit out. My name is James Williams Jr. I'm Audi 5000.